What about Apple Intelligence, and where does this fall in? And to this whole keynote and this approach, it's very half-baked. When I look into these things, personally, I don't know if it really gets me crazy excited about the future. Let's put it this way. I'm seeing breadcrumbs of what it could potentially turn into. But a lot of these things look like, okay, let's see what other people have and like kind of build these in. Like, let's sprinkle them into the operating system rather than like, let's see a whole new approach. Like, the iPhone could become the powerhouse of augmented reality and artificial intelligence. And I will say more of the AI, because the AR, I'm not such a fan of mobile AR, primarily because AR should be hands-free. It should be always on, always available. When you're holding something in your phone and you have to take it out of your pocket and you have to hold it in front of you, it just doesn't do it for me. But it's very, very powerful, like we talked about with the visual intelligence, I think they're calling it, or the visual lookup, whatever you want to call it. It already exists on photos today. When you take a photo, when it says, hey, let's identify this plant or let's identify this animal, to be able to identify the dog in front of you, it already exists from a picture. The idea of like a quick click. Also, I'm a little bit confused because the visual intelligence seemed to be like press and hold, but my understanding was pressing and holding without clicking, because pressing and clicking seem to be like open up the camera and take a picture, which I'm very, very for, because so many times I've been not able to capture the picture. And yes, the phone's in your pocket and you can capture something very quickly, but a lot of the time, like, I'll see something and a snap decision, I want to take a picture of that, and the moment sometimes passes before I'm able to open up the phone and press and hold the camera shortcut and open up the camera and then press, like, the phone's pretty fast, but like still once I press it, a lot of times I miss that initial shot that I wanted to take. Being able to have a dedicated hardware, a dedicated button that allows you to press and hold, open up the app and take a picture will dramatically reduce the time. I mean, we're talking about seconds, but still, that could be the difference between getting the picture that you've seen and interested in and not. So very interesting, so visual lookup will be interesting. I wonder how many people are going to use it. I think it's more going to be in the integration with other apps, and also how much Apple actually builds in, and not just tell me like information about a restaurant, which will require that information to be in Apple Maps, which a lot of the time I'm finding, especially if I'm not in the US, a lot of those details are, you know, out of touch, out of date, I should say. But maybe part of this will be the incentive if people are going to be using this. There will be an incentive to update restaurants and put on your menu and put on your prices and all those things like that, and your catalog or whatever it is. Maybe it will be. But I can't say like I'm blown away by the visual intelligence, but I do think tying it with a button, I think is not just Apple's way of saying, hey, photos and videos mean a lot to us. And we've seen this through the last Apple event, and pretty much the last 5 keynote events of the iPhone has always been about making the cameras greater and greater, better and better, and making it the best point and shoot camera that's in your pocket, always available. And now tying that with pretty much augmented reality, the idea of like visual intelligence, things like that, understanding the world behind you. Very excited to see Apple. I think they're going to be doing a huge push into it. Part of the bigger augmented reality things that actually get me excited, I don't really see happening in this way. But yeah, hopefully we start seeing new ideas. I didn't want to really talk about ideas, so I don't really have that on my mind right now. What I do want to talk about, like, is this Apple Intelligence, and looking at them. I don't know about you guys, the Genmoji, I don't know, it doesn't speak to me. I probably use it once or twice. I think some of these things will be great, some of them not so good. The Playground, I want to make more complex images, and I think that the limitations of them might not help me. The idea of making images to express yourself is a little bit intriguing. Like, I will sometimes get into a mood of like a couple of days or a couple of weeks, or maybe one specific person that I'm just using stickers and memes, and that's the way that I primarily communicate in that time frame or with that person. So to be able to generate images, maybe, but like when I want to generate something that like really can explain a concept that's in my mind that's hard to express verbally or take the time to go to Photoshop or to create that image. For me, more it's the videos. If I can create those concept videos, which we're starting to see, but to be able to construct those with, you know, the words of your mouth, like literally you're being a director, you're being a creator, and be able to create those things that before would have taken me months to do, to be able to do them in seconds, hugely exciting. The way it is now doesn't really excite me. There are a lot of features, but I mean, I've been using iOS for a few months now, so I've used a lot of these features. Apple Intelligence, no, not yet. I'm excited to see the on-screen teaching. They showed that a little bit where like someone tells you, someone messages you about a band, and just by using Siri, Siri can like see what's on the screen and realize what they're talking about and like open up that song in Apple Music, or you know, add something to your calendar or something like that based on what's on your screen is interesting. What I want to see is what I called in my version of like the 30 days before WWDC, where I created 30 different concepts. It was like a whole that keynote page that I filled up. One was then was called Teach Me Mode, and I was more looking at it that if Siri could see the screen, not just like create an event or open up the music that we're discussing, which although nice, it doesn't seem to be a huge leap because I can take that, copy it, and put it in. Yes, it takes away a few steps, but what is interesting to me is being able to teach Siri the way that I work and take her through a process and explain it and create intents, create shortcuts, create automations. I haven't seen that. I've seen things that like, there was quite a few things that I actually were in my design and actually very, very close. Like the shortcuts thing, super interesting. I'm so happy to see it, that it's not just email, it's in your notifications. Having a smarter do not disturb, also quite interesting. But like, I want to see it more, like put into third parties, put into WhatsApp, take like whole messages, not just text. Take like a 10-minute audio note and summarize that with AI, because AI has been able to take that voice message, transcribe it, understand everything there, and summarize it in a sentence or two and show that to me. That's hugely beneficial to me, but also to all the people that I message. Sometimes my voice messages will go into the minutes. Don't know how many 10-minute voice messages, but like that idea, be able to summarize those things, summarize videos that someone has sent, summarize whole conversations that you have missed out, and there's just so much going on. Being able to summarize that is like hugely beneficial. Maybe even beyond the text would be really cool. Like, I don't know, summarize it in like an image, or summarize it in an infographic, or like even a little video that can summarize the last little bit. I don't know how practical those are, but like those are kind of things that I find interesting. Like when you can look through whole chats or whole videos or whole like long audio messages and do something actually helpful with that I'm happy to look at that summary rather than everything else. Those things I'm super interested in. The writing tools and all those things, I'm happy about them coming because I don't have to like go to another thing, but how do they compare to ChatGPT, which is something that I'd be interested in. But also I want to speak to my device. I want Siri to speak, like having the conversation with ChatGPT, which is extremely powerful. I haven't seen something like that being brought to Siri, which is a little bit of a bummer, but I'm hoping to be able to see that soon. But to be able to create things with are going to be so big. Movie memories, yeah, that's great. Changing things in emails is great, but like what I was saying, like, and I haven't touched onto at that point, but I'm going to make this last point in my last minute. Like, let's do a summary, like an AI summary. The way that I saw AI is not these small little things that ChatGPT or Midjourney or things like gave us and like give it to us in like a very simple way. I saw it as a way of like the smart assistant really helping to do things for you or help you get things done. And I haven't seen that over here. I've just seen literally those kind of apps kind of like built in a very kids-friendly way into the iPhone. I want an assistant that can understand what I'm doing, automate the things I want to do, explain it through natural conversation, and get a workflow that every day gets better and better and better. A smart assistant that can help me answer my emails, not just change the wording of it, but I can have a conversation at the beginning of the day and say, these are the things I need to do, and have emails sent out left, right, and center, not focusing on one email, where automations can be done based on a natural conversation. Like, I see this possibility of every one of us having a personal assistant available to us, that in the morning we can get started and literally get hours of work done condensed into seconds, because our agent, our personal assistant, is actioning tasks for us. Personal, contextual. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the future.